Welcome to the Create with Katrina Julia show by Fit Life Creation, where we talk all the things on wellness, faith, marketing, business, and travel to create a life and business you love. I've been there, friend. I've walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and bondage to freedom, along with transformation in every area of my life. I'm right here with you, walking along on my own path to creating. So tune in so that you learn how to create a life and business you love, hands-on. Let's create it. Welcome to my Creator Confessions for April. Whoa. April was aligned while at the same time definitely feeling some attraction, but also attacks all at the same time. So I'm definitely releasing a lot. If you are not yet subscribed to my newsletter, make sure you go to the link in the show notes, and at the bottom you'll see where you can subscribe to all the things, because I send out creator confessions, creator snapshots, all the things. So you definitely want to be on the list. And if you're anything like me, which I'm betting you might be, sometimes you like to read in silence, and sometimes you like to consume in people's voices. And so that's why I create in both avenues, and plus have snapshots of all that done through various tools on platforms. So if this is your first time tuning in to my show, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is an episode on my creator confessions on #life, alignment, attractions, attacks, what's happening in different areas of my life. So you get the real REAL talk, not REEL Instagram talk, on what it is like being a creator and a CEO. So in these emails, as well as on the show, I go into from faith to wellness to wealth to marketing to business to travel and community, and sharing the real talk and #behind the scenes in a snapshot type email / letter and show of a creator and a CEO. So how are you feeling about April in 2023 so far? So I'm feeling April alignment in the midst of attraction. You'll hear more as I go. In the midst of attacks and calm and chaos and challenges and circumstances all at the same time, and repeatedly choosing faith, feeling, and focus in the midst of #life. So at the same time, April has allowed me and invited me to continue to rise up in divine discipline, which is my phrase for the year. And definitely listen to some of those episodes if you haven't yet, like never before. Anyone else? So my divine discipline, the phrase for this year, is definitely growing. So spiritually, I increased my prayers in April and attended a summit online with epic fab girl Candace. She's amazing. Physically, I got selected to be in the running to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness Hers as Miss Health and Fitness. So please, 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 if you haven't listened to the last episode and are voted for me, you can vote for me every single day from now, from May 1st until May 11th. And if you give to the oh my goodness, Wounded Warriors. Why am I being tongue-tied right now? Wounded warriors to give back to help them build homes. Um, and I feel like I'm saying the name wrong. Homes for wounded warriors. Okay, so I did have it right. I was like, wait a minute, I need to go look. So that is in process right now. And I am actually, the last time I looked, 11th right now. So I am in the top 20. So please, please, please go vote for me. I beyond that, because let me stop on that real quick. This wasn't in my letter, but I just felt like, wait a minute, let me share more on that beyond what I shared in the last episode. So one of my visions has been for years to help inspire through fitness. And some of you may or may not know my story. I shared it a bit on the last episode, and I'll share it in a shorter version on this one. I, for years, yo-yoed with wellness, with health, with alcohol, with how I ate, how I treated my body. And about 7+ years ago, I had a huge wake up call in several ways, with faith, with purity, with a best friend passing from cancer. And we believe a lot of the toxicity and things she was going through with her marriage drastically impacted her. And she literally absorbed all that toxicity in her body and in her mind. Janelle, literally one of my chosen family/family here on earth, and now she's an angel in heaven. So all that catapulted me to really start asking the questions of, was I really living out life fully and unapologetically and taking leaps of faith? And although I was really, really proud of myself for many things, I wasn't. And that led me to losing over 55 pounds, competing in fitness shows, becoming alcohol free, and so much more. And one of those dreams and visions is to be on covers of magazines for fitness, for wellness, for business, for marketing, and more, with me and future community and future spouse and more. So that gives you a bit on there. And in the link in the bio, I share even more on how I will use the money if and when I win, and how I will include the top finalists in my photo shoot and more as well. Just so you know where my heart is as well, like helping end homelessness and the homes for wounded warriors and more. So in April, I increased daily aligned action with Herbalife, with food and workouts by over 30%. And I did not miss a single day in April with workouts, with prayer, with meditations. So that is a huge acceleration that I'm really, really proud of. And I was able to quantify it because I track everything on my Peloton app. So even the workouts I do off of Peloton, like whether it's Home Depot backyard or Soul Cycle, or weight workouts upstairs at the gym that I don't use a pre-programmed workout off Peloton, that I designed the workout, but I can still track it. My supplements included shakes, coffee, tabs, and tea with Herbalife. My activities included Soul Cycle, ClassPass. I did Soul Cycle and sauna on ClassPass. I went on walks in the park, and I reached over 8,000 minutes already on Peloton in April. And I am literally like 4,000, 5,000 higher than I've ever been at this time since I've been using Peloton app. I started in 2020, and even this year, even with, you know, the pandemic in 2020, and using Peloton a ton in 2020, is a lot more than 2020, than 2021, than 2022, which also shows me evidence of the spiritual shifting into the practical. And then I also attended several workouts with Home Depot Backyard, and I'm actually going on one today as well. Financially, I stayed divinely disciplined in the midst of chaos and circumstances. I showed up more than ever, despite not yet having the results I would love to have fully and completely. Just being really transparent. I increased aligned and impactful actions to increase impact and income. I increased clarity and aligned launches with Kajabi on content creation. Kajabi is one of the tools I use to automate over 75% of the business. fractional CMO and influencer marketing. I did have a $2 million proposal day, which I have never had. I share about that on the show several episodes back, and it's also on my YouTube channel at Limitless Global Girl. And the beauty of that also that I am so grateful for is that I literally found it. It was like a miracle how I found it. The proposal process and creating it on Honeybook, another tool I use, was amazing. The flow of it and how I felt in submitting it, amazing. I haven't heard back from them yet, but just this simple experience and then the seeing the possibility of what is possible for the year and for the months and how aligned it is. So that I submitted over $4 million in business to business aligned and innovative proposals. And that includes that $2 million proposal day. I was offered to be part of a beta with Join Willa on their influencer marketing software and I believe it's their IO tool with brands for free. I had a meeting with a startup tech app on ongoing marketing. So that shifted to where I saw evidence of things moving forward in pipelines. I was invited to be part of a smart business mastermind for 2 days with Chat GPT and increased aligned actions with the launches. I will be sharing about that coming up with my influencer marketing series that's coming up and how I'm aligning personalized AI massively to launch via emails, via IO tools, via blogs, and so much more. I implemented Apollo.io, another input output tool that connects LinkedIn to targeted lists, and then you can align it to emails. And they have a freebie platform that you can use. And I learned about it from Jessica, the sponsorship lady, which I connected with via Epic Fab Girl, Candace, and her weekly prayer calls and summits and her platform and ways that she helps Christian entrepreneurs. And I implemented Apollo.io for sponsorships for high-end offers and events with influencer marketing. I've already outreached to over 100 brands that are very targeted in less than 2 to 3 sessions for 30 minutes at a time. And I'm about to scale it with my VAs with their ongoing lists for NFTs, for private equity, and for Fortune 500 companies and more. That is something I also teach in my Create It Monthly, in my fractional CMO program that you would get an advantage of in my influencer management. So definitely check that out in my bit.ly in the show notes. I also implemented repurpose.io that literally is 10xing to 100xing my social media with the automated workflows. Again, something I teach because my brain is always thinking about how can I free up time? How can I align? How can I create and scale? I stepped away from 2 organizations and serving. So here is where I piggyback going back to the spiritual. So in my life right now, in deeper friendships, so I had it was 4 of us that were really, really close in high school, then in college, then beyond. But now me being in Atlanta, and then I shared how Janelle passed away. And then 2 of my friends were still close, but they're in different seasons of my life that live still in Houston and Dallas and Texas, respectively. And then one of them, we don't speak anymore, which was really weird. That's a whole nother conversation years ago. And then I do have some close friends, here in Atlanta, but they're also in different seasons of their life and different focuses and different purpose. And so one of the things for me that I'm recognizing is I deeply desire, which it's definitely shifted, deeply desire community to increase, both in person and online, and also with love and future best friend slash partner in purpose slash boyfriend slash fiance slash husband, etc. And I deeply desire also being connected with like-minded women, both online and live. And yes, my community has grown exponentially. And yes, I'm very grateful. But I also recognize that when I moved back to Atlanta and set up intentionally to be aligned to ATL Girl Gang, recently ATL Rising Women, and then other communities online and live as well, like Social Curators, B School, you've heard me talk about. But at the same time, in that process, I recognize where, part of that is me aligning to communities where they're not aligned and doing it in a way that is loving and graceful and and bringing up things, but also giving them the freedom, just like I give myself the freedom to be who they are and how they choose to create or not, and what aligns for me or not. Like, for example, initiative is one of my high values, and being seen, and heard and valued, and working with people that are rapidly responsive and or things are moving forward, that like they are noticeably moving forward. And let's say like, a key initiative on something that's business to business related, that is responded to, in a reasonable time frame, whether it's 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, right? And what I found is, like one organization I stepped away that, it's been, for example, like 4 months since, something was addressed, and it started irritating me in April, really in March, but I kind of let it simmer until about April. And then I like sat back in a calmer state and was like, okay, what is triggering me? What is not aligned here? And really just evaluated everything as a whole. Like, oh, this is what I communicated up front, on this and this role. This is what's actually happening. This is what they want. Even though they heard me, they didn't really hear me when I communicated up front initially on email and on, in person and on phone calls. So it was crossing into those values of, oh, I'm not being seen or heard. I'm not being valued. And then what was said, at least that's how it feels. Like, I don't think that's necessarily intentional, but some people just aren't as intentional about making people feel seen and heard and making sure they get the value from different things, especially when serving. Because, like when you're serving, you're giving your time, and you definitely want to be seen and heard and know your work is valued even more sometimes. And then also that you're getting perks and recognition and value from that. So, I stepped away from one organization like that, and that happened in April. Then another one that was going to be mutually aligned, in partnership and with money and events via Eventbrite, and they've built an incredible community. At first, it looked great. At first, it aligned, but then when the contract got sent with very clear typos, very clear things not spelled out like what we discussed, and then me addressing it and then it not being corrected 2 times, and then me being scheduled for stuff without talking to me and without any onboarding, it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's a lot of chaos here that's showing up, and either I can choose to continue to fight through it, or I can say, you know what, this is not for me, and I am not available for this. And you guys, as someone that is a reformed people pleaseaholic, as someone that would give and give and give out of an empty cup when I was 55 plus pounds heavier, that is a revolution. Okay. I'm just going to say, and I know some of you will relate. And then I'm stepping away from a third in May. Like, it's been very clear to me on the alignment and the resonance of the messages. And this one is a faith-based community that I love, but I, have been feeling pulled in my spirit to step away from serving, because part of me has also recognized, as I'm sharing all these things, on business, on money, on love, Katrina, your cup is not full yet. Your cup is not full, meaning I'm not fully whole and healed and well. And yet I served in these different ways. And also what happened is, one of them was misaligned. And then one of them is showing up to where it's like a Selah or a pause moment. And part of me is feeling like I may be speaking with this organization at some point, and that it's time for me to create some space, both for my own healing and wholeness, and also to create the space for people to see me in a different light. Because that's the thing sometimes is that I've recognized and realized when we give and give and give sometimes, or we serve, or people see you in one way in a certain avenue, they don't necessarily recognize your value and your worth because they don't recognize their own at the same time. And they're equating you in the same realm. And we're all human beings, we're all priceless in value. But our gifting sometimes will often separate us. And sometimes people need to see you in a different light, in a different avenue, presented in a different avenue before they fully really value you. And that's some of what I've been growing through. So, yes, I'm stepping away from a third. I had meetings this month with Atlanta Rising Women on partnering. I networked with over 2+ times with women entrepreneurs. I filmed over 6+ videos, long form, 12+ podcasts, 20+ Instagram reels. And that's not all because it's about being a human being. Mentally to playfully, I increased feeding my soul with prayer, with the park, with journaling, with EFT. I am repeatedly doing right now EFT tapping, which, if you haven't heard of EFT, you guys, it is amazing. So if you didn't know, I've shared before, but this may be your first time listening in. I am an avid proponent of therapy, of different modalities for healing, whether it is prayer, meditation, and some of the things I've done in therapy in the past included EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization resonance, which helps you reprocess trauma and there's lots of studies about it for, all kinds of trauma. And EFT is emotional freedom technique because so many times we have trapped emotions and repeat emotional responses to things and repeat triggers and repeat actions because of those emotions, which are often based on a lie, are often based on fears, are often based on conditioning and things we absorbed in childhood and different things. And so last year, I was already doing EFT last year and the year before and prior years, but not as frequently. Because as I started to recognize so many things from, my past or traumas, I got led to EFT. But then as certain things weren't transitioning or weren't shifting, especially around abundance, wealth, and money and cash and financial freedom, I really started to dig in, and I shared in my last month's episode on Creator Confessions that I'm currently doing an inner child workbook with Catherine L. Taylor. I'm already halfway through. And then another part of that is EFT that I felt led to. And I am doing it through wealthconsciousmovement.com with Marguerite. She has an amazing YouTube channel. That's how I found her. She has an amazing free 21-day challenge. I keep repeating the videos. I'm now in the second round. And I tried to buy, I think one of her programs was like $7, and she's in Australia, but the link didn't even work to pay. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to give her abundance, but in any event, hopefully she fixes it soon. So that I went to the sauna at least twice through ClassPass. And then I've been doing dancing and yoga for free, mostly through Home Depot backyard. Um, or ClassPass. I connected with more friends in Atlanta from Atlanta Rising Women, 2 Dogwood Festival, 2 Bible studies, 2 fitness events. So that intention of community and deeper friendships is definitely there. I immersed myself in the communities I mentioned, but also including Amanda Francis, social curator, and epic fab girl. I took myself on a date to the museum, walks in the park, dancing outdoors, and more. I did experience some me time completely unplanned with a migraine April 26th through the 27th. I got my first one ever in 2020, and I rarely get them now. And I use these, thank God. And I, do stretches, use like a collar around my neck, to help stretch, chiro care whenever I can. And also, use these incredible pills, EU Natural with Berber, that apparently is known to really, really help equate or balance out hormones or different things from EU Natural that literally they are lifesavers. This time was definitely some downtime doozy. I was still low on energy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday I finally started to come out of it. The joys of womanhood. Prayers, please. Phew. So that is a snapshot of my April. If you haven't yet, definitely click the link in the show notes to dive into 75 plus tools to create and scale what you love. You can head on over to my YouTube channel to see videos that I filmed last month, like paid by Google and how I got paid for content I already created. And if you are ready to create and scale your marketing like a boss, you may love my fractional CMO program and or 10xing social media on the blog and show. Side note, thank you. This past week, we have over 335 new listeners and over 25,000 downloads. We were a top 100 show last year in marketing, so I'm super grateful. And ways that you may create it, you can check out my monthly challenges and membership with the Create It Like a Boss, influencer marketing and management, the fractional CMO program I mentioned, tons on my freebies on the website, from guides to webinars and my global retreats. Speaking of, we still have some spots for the retreat coming up in November, as well as there's lots more exciting stuff coming up. So definitely make sure you subscribe. So as always, leave a review on the show so I can shout you out. And as always, remember, create, transform, and inspire, because you are born to. Oh, and tag me at Katrina Julia Fit at Fit Life Creation so I can reshare anything that you've implemented, anything that you've learned, and any type of way that you are choosing to create it like a boss. I am so excited and honored to partner with Spotify for podcasters. Ever since I connected with Spotify for podcasters, I feel like having options like video podcasts and Q&A and polls has helped me be creative on a whole new level. And if you didn't know, I want to thank all of you for listening, because last year we reached top 100 in marketing. And some of the ways this was able to happen is because of the ability to have distribution on platforms like iTunes, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and more. Basically everywhere and anywhere podcasts are in the world. I highly recommend you record your show on Spotify for podcasters. You can download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. If you want to make a podcast, Spotify's got this incredible platform to help you make one super easily and distribute it everywhere and anywhere, and even earn money all in one place for free. Yes, for free with Spotify for podcasters. And here is how it works at a glance. You can record and edit your podcast and your shows right from your phone or your computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you get to start creating it today, or like I like to say, #create it. Then you get to distribute it to Spotify and everywhere and anywhere podcasts are heard in the world. Video podcasts are also available. Plus, make sure you check out the different features that I mentioned earlier to get your fans, your friends, and your besties engaging in your show, like the Q&A and the polls, to get people talking. And one tip, I've extended several of my podcasts out to the end of the year, because that way you get people a chance to connect and create it. So, Share with me if you record your first and or your next show with Spotify for Podcasters. I would love to know. Tag me at Katrina Julia Fit at Fit Life Creation. And speaking of connecting and creating a conversation, also leave a review on my show with your new show, and I will make sure and shout out your show as well. And definitely check out all the ways that I spotlight and feature and connect with creators on my show and collaborations as well. So let's create it. All the chats on faith, wellness, money, marketing, business, and travel, so you create a life and business already. Head on over to the blog, the podcast, and the freebies to jumpstart your transformation. If you're ready to dive into the online courses, the live events, or the retreat, and if you want to create with our community on an even deeper level, definitely check out our internships, our influencer collaborations, management, and brand engagement. Let's create it.